There is a moment in every human life where silence feels heavier than iron. Not because the world has gone quiet, but because you have gone quiet. You sit alone, maybe at the edge of a bed, maybe on the cold floor of a room that no longer feels like yours. Your pockets are empty, your future feels blurred, your name seems to weigh nothing in the world. Maybe you felt it, that moment where life looks at you and whispers, "You have nothing." And for a second, you believe it. You believe you are poor. You believe you are forgotten. You believe your value depends on what you can touch, buy, or display. But here is the truth no one told you. A human is never poor when their mind is unbroken. And it is exactly here, in this silence, in this emptiness, in this fear, that the philosophy of the strong, the disciplined, the unshakable begins. This is where Stoicism meets Machiavelli. This is where you confront the world not as a desperate man, but as someone being sharpened. Tonight, we will walk together, you and I, through this shadowed territory, through the mindset of someone who does not bow, does not bend, does not measure himself by gold or applause. We will walk like thinkers from another age, men who were tested, broken, stripped of everything, and yet rose with an inner wealth that no empire could defeat. Because we, you and I, are here to learn the darkest, deepest lesson. Never think you are poor, even when you have nothing. This is not a slogan. This is a weapon forged in the quiet minds of philosophers who understood that poverty is not the absence of money, but the absence of direction. So breathe in, straighten your spine, step into the story with me. Let us begin where all true strength begins, in the empty places of life. Chapter 1. When loss shapes you. Imagine a man, not a king, not a warrior, just a man, walking through the ruins of his own life. Maybe once he had a house, a career, a partner, a circle of friends, a dream glowing like a lantern in the distance. But now he is left with silence, dust, and a long list of unanswered questions. Life took things from him, slowly at first, but then all at once. We know this man, because at some time, in some shape's shadow, we have been this man. The world often teaches us that value comes from possession, from owning things, from displaying them, from being applauded for them. But here is the paradox. When everything is taken away, your real education begins. The world thinks that losing money, losing stability, losing status makes you weaker. But the Stoics knew the opposite. Loss is a purification, a stripping away of illusions, a return to the core. Seneca said something that echoes through centuries. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor. To lose everything is to see everything clearly. To become poor is to discover what poverty really is. And so this man, standing in ruins, begins to realize what he lost were objects, but what he still has are abilities. And abilities are worth more than assets. He has attention, discipline, courage, memory, breath, awareness, will, reason. The world accounts none of these on financial statements, but the world bows before them, because a man who has control over himself is wealthier than the man who controls a kingdom. This is where we begin. Not with money, but with mastery. Not with possessions, but with presence. Not with gold, but with grit. Chapter 2. The Richest Poverty. The Mind of a Stoic. Let me tell you something that will feel uncomfortable. You cannot be truly powerful until you have had your illusions destroyed, until life corners you, until you stare at emptiness and learn to breathe through it. Stoics did not fear poverty. They trained for it. They rehearsed losing everything, not because they wanted misery, but because they wanted freedom. Imagine that. A life where nobody can threaten you because nothing they take from you can break you. This is why a Stoic, even with empty pockets, is never truly poor, because he still commands himself, and self-command is the highest currency in existence. Let us break this down. 1. A poor man depends on the world. A Stoic depends on his discipline. The world changes, fortune shifts, people leave, opportunities collapse. But discipline, your command over your own behaviors and impulses, is a fortress. Discipline is what keeps a man upright when life tries to hunt him down. 2. A poor man feels small without possessions. A Stoic feels powerful with nothing.
Why? Because a Stoic measures wealth in resilience, not resources. To him, money is a tool, not a throne, not an identity, not a god. 3. A poor man fears tomorrow. A Stoic prepares for it. He rehearses hardship. He imagines difficulty. He practices letting go. He walks through life with the calm of someone who has already survived his worst nightmares. This is a completely different architecture of the mind. Machiavelli understood this too. He knew that a leader, one who truly controls his fate, must not depend on luck, on treasure, on comfort. He must depend on himself. And so he gave the world one of his darkest insights. A man who becomes poor through his own negligence will always be the servant of those who discipline themselves. This is why we walk this path. This is why we turn to Stoic thinking, because every person who has been stripped down, who has stared at the empty spaces of life, has two choices: break or build. Chapter 3. How Poverty Becomes Power. You may not believe it yet, but what you call having nothing may be the beginning of your greatest transformation. Let me show you why. There is a strange advantage in emptiness. When you lose everything external, you are forced to build internally, and internal wealth is the only wealth the world cannot touch. When you have nothing, you learn what you are truly capable of. When life forces you to walk alone, you discover the strength of a single disciplined mind. When you stop relying on comfort, you learn the architecture of resilience. When you stop clinging to things, you learn to hold on to yourself. This is the secret of the darkest Stoic lesson. Poverty teaches you how powerful you actually are. Because strength is not something you find in luxury. Strength is something you extract from difficulty. The rich believe they are safe. The strong know they are ready. And we, you and I, are here to become the strong. Chapter 4. The man who owns himself cannot be poor. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a man who owns everything. Houses, cars, clothes, social influence, comfort, pleasure, popularity, admiration. He walks like a king, but inside, he is fragile, dependent, afraid of losing what he has, afraid of being ignored, afraid of silence. Now imagine another man, a man with no wealth, no comfort, no status, no applause. Yet inside him lives a massive kingdom of discipline. He commands his attention. He rules over his emotions. He does not beg for validation. He does not crumble with criticism. He does not fear uncertainty. Ask yourself, which man is truly rich? Which man is truly poor? Society will choose the first man, but life, fate, and philosophy choose the second. Because a man who owns himself is unbreakable. A man who does not own himself is already broken. This is why Stoicism was never a philosophy for the comfortable. It was a philosophy for warriors. Warriors of the mind, warriors of discipline, warriors of silence. When you master yourself, you become wealthier than any man who merely owns things. Because things come and go, but character stays. Discipline stays. Will stays. Self-command stays. This is the wealth of the undefeated. Chapter 5. Gratitude as a weapon, not a soft habit. Let me tell you something that will sound harsh. Most people misunderstand gratitude. They think gratitude means smiling at the sky, writing cute journal lines, or pretending everything is fine. But to a Stoic, gratitude sees things differently. Gratitude to us is not softness, not naive positivity, not denial. Gratitude is a weapon against fear, a weapon against comparison, a weapon against despair. Because when you are grateful for little, you become immune to loss. When you appreciate what you already command inside yourself, your attention, your breath, your reason, your discipline, you become untouchable. Everyone fears poverty, but poverty cannot defeat a man who has trained his mind to see wealth in virtues, not in objects. This is not spiritual fluff. This is psychological warfare.
To appreciate what you have while wanting nothing unnecessary. This is the formula of the undefeatable. When Machiavelli wrote about rulers and power, he warned them, fortune cannot harm the man who is prepared to lose it. How many people today could say that? How many people can lose their job, lose their comfort, lose their savings, lose their support system, and still remain calm? Very few. Why? Because they never learned the Stoic art of inner wealth. They filled their lives with possessions, but neglected virtues. They collected items, but never collected strength. They built comfort, but never built character. Gratitude, when practiced correctly, does not make you soft. It makes you sharp. It teaches your mind to thrive even in scarcity, which means abundance can never control you again. This is why you must train your mind to see wealth not in luxury, but in self-command. Chapter 6. Poverty is a test, not a judgment. Whether you believe it or not, life is not judging you when it takes things away. Life is testing you. And more importantly, life is revealing you. Consider this carefully. When a man loses everything, you see his true nature. Some become bitter. Some become aggressive. Some become hopeless. Some look for someone to blame. Some collapse into self-pity. But a few, a rare few,
Sit in that emptiness and whisper, "Good. Now we begin." This is the Stoic reaction. This is the reaction of someone who understands that hardship is not punishment, but purification. Life is saying, "Now let me see who you really are," without comfort, without applause, without safety, without luxury. Every strong philosopher, every powerful thinker, every disciplined mind across history was carved by hardship. Not one of them was shaped by convenience. Think about it. Marcus Aurelius ruled an empire while losing children, while facing betrayal, while fighting wars, while battling disease. He wrote Meditations not in a palace of gold, but in tents, camps, and war zones. Epictetus was a slave. Yes, a literal slave, with no freedom, no wealth, no status, and yet he became richer in wisdom than his masters ever could. Seneca lost everything twice in his life: his wealth, his status, his influence, and yet wrote words that strengthened Rome for centuries. These names are not historical decorations. They are reminders. Hardship does not make you poor. It makes you powerful. When life tests you, you are not being punished. You are being forged. You are being transformed into someone who cannot be broken by circumstance. You are being transformed into someone who understands the difference between external lack and internal abundance. This is why we say, never think you are poor, even when you have nothing, because nothing is often where greatness begins. Chapter 7. The world owes you nothing. That is why you are free. This is going to be difficult to accept, but essential. The world does not owe you anything. Not comfort, not opportunities, not support, not understanding, not fairness, not pity, not permission. And strangely, this is the greatest freedom you will ever have. Because when you stop expecting the world to save you, you start saving yourself. When you stop waiting for someone to help you, you begin to help yourself. When you stop believing life should be easier, you begin to become stronger. People who believe the world owes them something remain emotionally poor for their entire lives. People who believe the world owes them nothing become the wealthiest in spirit, because they build their own strength. Machiavelli understood this brutal truth. A ruler who expects mercy from fate will be destroyed by it. But a ruler who expects nothing from fate cannot be surprised, cannot be disappointed, cannot be shaken.
This ruler, the one who commands himself rather than begging from fortune, this is the man we aim to become. This is what Stoicism teaches. Do not pray for an easier life. Pray for the discipline to endure a difficult one. Do not ask for fewer problems. Ask for greater character. Do not hope for more wealth. Hope for more wisdom. Do not chase comfort. Chase capability. Because capability follows you everywhere. Comfort does not. Chapter 8. When nothing is certain, everything is possible. Let us walk deeper. When you feel like you have nothing, it is often because the future looks uncertain. You do not know what will happen tomorrow. Your plans feel fragile. Your stability feels temporary. Most fear this uncertainty, but a Stoic thrives on it. Because uncertainty means possibility.
Possibility means freedom. Freedom means creation. You may not see it yet, but your life is not collapsing. It is opening. When everything is certain, your fate is sealed. The path is fixed. Your life becomes predictable, unchanging, unchallenging, unmoving. But when nothing is certain, you have room, space, potential, raw ingredients for reinvention. It is the unknown that shapes the strongest human beings, because the unknown forces you to build clarity from within yourself, not from the world around you. This is why a Stoic can stand in the middle of uncertainty and remain unmoved, because he knows, if everything ahead of me is unclear, then everything ahead of me is possible. What looks like poverty to others is opportunity to him. What feels like loss to others is liberation to him. What crushes others awakens him. This is the advantage of having nothing certain. You are free to build anything. Chapter 9. Discipline is the richest form of wealth. Let me tell you a secret that most people never realize. Discipline is a currency. And like any currency, it can be invested, grown, and multiplied. But unlike money, discipline never loses value. It does not inflate. It does not decay. It does not lose purchasing power. Discipline buys you things that money could never touch. Self-respect, direction, clarity, focus, consistency, strength, emotional control, peace, purpose, capability. These are treasures, not metaphorically, literally, because these treasures create a life that external wealth cannot replace. The richest person in any room is the one who has the discipline to say, no, not now, not that, not anymore. Discipline is the ability to command yourself when your mind tries to betray you, the ability to delay gratification, to control impulses, to cut out distraction, to show up when you don't feel like it, to stay when others quit, to choose long-term strength over short-term comfort. This is the richest form of wealth because it builds everything else: money, health, skill, reputation, stability, respect, identity, legacy. People think discipline is a punishment, but discipline is preparation. Preparation for a life where you cannot be manipulated by emotion or circumstance. A life where your potential becomes real. A life where poverty cannot reach your mind. Because a disciplined man with nothing is still more powerful than an undisciplined man with everything. Chapter 10. The mind that cannot be bought. The most dangerous human being on earth is not the strongest, or the richest, or the most intelligent. It is the one who cannot be bought. A man who cannot be bought cannot be controlled. He cannot be tempted with money, distracted with pleasure, corrupted with comfort, intimidated with threats, or weakened by loss.
This is the ultimate Stoic wealth, unbuyable integrity. And you cannot gain this integrity from success, from luxury, from admiration, from ease. You gain it from hardship, from poverty, from isolation, from loss, from rebuilding yourself without relying on anyone else. When life strips you of everything, you either collapse or you become someone who cannot be purchased.
someone who stands alone because they have trained to stand alone, someone who values strength over shine, character over comfort, purpose over pleasure, discipline over desire. This is the mindset of the undefeated. This is the mindset of the unbreakable. This is the mindset we are building, piece by piece, lesson by lesson. And this is why we say, never think you are poor, even when you have nothing, because a man who has lost everything yet keeps his mind is richer than a man who owns the world but has lost himself. The last test. Can you own yourself? You can lose your money, you can lose your opportunities, you can lose your relationships, you can lose your comfort, you can lose your plans. But let me ask you something with brutal honesty. Have you lost your mind? Have you lost your discipline? Have you lost your will? Have you lost your ability to try again? Have you lost your fire? If the answer is no, then you have lost nothing essential, because the greatest wealth is the ability to rebuild. Anyone can win when life is easy. Anyone can feel strong when nothing goes wrong. Anyone can be confident when everything is certain. But only a rare few can remain calm in crisis, determined in chaos, focused in disappointment, disciplined in darkness. These are the people who change their fate. These are the people who rise from nothing. These are the people the world cannot break. The world does not fear a man with money. It fears a man with discipline, a man with clarity, a man with self-command, a man who knows, you can take everything from me, and I will still win. Because such a man is playing a different game, a deeper game, a game where the only opponent is the weaker version of himself. The final truth. You were never poor. Let us speak plainly now. Let us end this journey with a truth so sharp, so undeniable, that it cuts through every doubt you have ever carried. You were never poor. You were only unawakened. Your greatest wealth was never in your bank account. It was in your ability to endure, your ability to stay calm, your ability to learn, your ability to rise, your ability to suffer without breaking, your ability to rebuild without fear. This is wealth that cannot be stolen, cannot be taxed, cannot be lost, cannot be destroyed. Because it does not live in your hands, it lives in your character. And now you know something most people spend their entire lives avoiding. A man with nothing to lose has everything to become. This is why Machiavelli admired the hungry, the desperate, the hardened, the battle-tested. Because a man who has survived darkness without losing himself becomes someone terrifyingly powerful. A man who answers to no emotion, a man who kneels before no desire, a man who fears no uncertainty, a man who controls himself. A man who understands poverty is a situation, weakness is a choice, and you are done choosing weakness. The rise of the new you. Stand up now, not physically, but internally. Stand up in your mind. Stand up in your spirit. Stand up in your resolve. Because your life, from this moment onward, will not be built on comfort. It will be built on character. You will not be defined by what you lack. You will be defined by what you refuse to surrender. You will not seek an easy path. You will create strength through a difficult one. You will not wait for opportunities. You will forge your own with discipline. You will not crumble when life removes things from your hands, because now you know everything you truly need is already inside you. The fire, the clarity, the will, the discipline, the patience, the endurance,
the self-command, the calm, the fortitude. This is your wealth. This is your kingdom. This is your power. Never again say you are poor. Never again say you have nothing. Never again think you are behind. You are not behind. You are being sharpened. You are not poor. You are being purified. You have not lost. You are being prepared. Prepared for a life where you are no longer controlled by fear, desire, comfort, or circumstance. Prepared for a life where you define your own path. Prepared for a life where you rise from darkness as someone fate itself cannot bend. The final word. Remember this, and remember it forever. A man is truly rich when nothing can make him poor again. And after everything you have survived, after everything you have endured, after everything that tried to break you, look at yourself. You are still here, still standing, still breathing, still fighting, still moving forward. Tell me, is that weakness or is that wealth? You know the answer. Now carry it with you. Let it become your armor. Let it become your identity. Let it become the fire inside you that never dies. Because from today onward, you walk this world as someone who cannot be broken. And nothing, not circumstance, not loss, not uncertainty, not poverty, nothing can take that away from you.